All right. Well, let's dive into topic number one. So, what do you guys think about Nike releasing their own strength equipment?
Go ahead, Peter.
I have a really corporate answer for that one, but it's actually what I really believe. Kudos for Nike, man. They're a huge brand and they're going to be bringing a lot of casuals into the market that wouldn't have otherwise been in the market. As far as, feeling worried about the competition or whatever, I mean, there are already a ton of big brands in the space and we do all right against them. We know that Nike's product is not going to be the best product. It's just going to be a very good mass market product, I think, at best. And so I think it's awesome because it's going to bring more casuals to the space. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a good point because I went to their Instagram page and they already have like a million ads with athletes. Like, there's no way you can compete like money wise. I mean, not even Rogue. If they decided they really wanted to go crazy, they'd just crush everybody probably. But I think they're just going to make the generic stuff, put a swoosh on it, and then charge you the Nike prices. But in my field, at least, like with my day job, there's a lot of pushback against Nike from a lot of guys because of the whole woke crap. So that's just gonna be a thing that people are gonna think about. And if you read the comments under like whenever you post the stuff about Nike, you see that down there. People are like, forget Nike. I'm not buying that junk because Colin Kaepernick. And then the first one they have on there is like Colin Kaepernick doing stuff, and people are like, just already turned off by whatever, Especially in the law enforcement military field where it's a pretty tight knit community of guys, and that's where I'm coming from mostly. And so you get a lot of those guys tend to stick together. I mean, we do a lot of business with that community because of my podcast with you and the one I did with Andy Stumpf and stuff. So you just get a lot of pushback, and everybody on that field tends to have a very similar train of thought when it comes to politics and companies and stuff they want to be associated with. So it's just kind of how it goes.
Right. I am curious actually if they're making bumper plates from chipped up shoe midsoles because I mean, I hear you laughing about that. I mean, that's pretty interesting to me. I think if they're actually doing that, that is, a really interesting and innovative thing to bring to the market. That said, we spend a lot of time worrying about the durometer of the rubber and all this other boring science stuff of the rubber to produce these ultra durable, ultra awesome bumper plates. And I'm not sure that chipped up shoe rubber is actually the best material to make a bumper plate out of. But if they're keeping stuff out of the landfill, I mean, kudos to them. But I am curious if it really is that or if it just kind of looks like that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they're, stopping carbon emissions by 0.009%. That doesn't matter at all by using those shoes when they could just give those shoes to, people that need shoes instead of chopping them up and making crappy bumper plates.
Man, Sean, you're really going for it. I'm trying to remain a little bit polite here.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean,
after I did my other podcast, I already shot myself in the foot with the law enforcement thing. So pretty much, if you don't like me, you're not gonna like me anyway.
I think like Sean, you brought up a really good point. Like all of you guys have a lot of good points right here that I kind of want to like just sum up. So like number one, Sean, you said they have so much money and you guys don't know exactly what they are going to do. Are they just going to bring this entry level stuff, or are they going to like try and sponsor the CrossFit Games? Because they certainly probably could throw like tens of millions of dollars to do that and take over the CrossFit Games, make CrossFit like an offer they couldn't refuse. So are they going to do that? Or are they going to go just like entry level dick stuff? And then, what else was I going to react
like Ethos
to?
The poor Ethos is going to be out of Dick's Sporting Goods now. It really pushed those poor little guys out.
Well, doesn't like Dick's just like own Ethos? So
I don't know. Maybe they're getting a better percentage by having Nike make everything, and they just get to sell it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but anyways, I also just think like in general, it's going to bring more people into the community, or at least give them some exposure to it at least. And then I think like Sean's mentioned, like like most companies are targeted on a specific niche, and like most of the home gym community right now, based off the comments, doesn't seem very interested in Nike equipment. So I don't think it like poses a huge threat to the current companies that are like on top or doing well already. So I don't. That's just kind of my initial thoughts and poking.
Well,
after
the general
your guys' comments.
the general consensus seems to be that they're just releasing a bunch of stuff that I'm not sure how much quality control they do. You know what I mean? Or they're just like, hey, send us a bunch of bars and some cool looking bumper plates, and we'll throw this shit out there, and we'll throw a swoosh on there and charge swoosh prices. You know?
Yeah. Well, it's like Nike gonna add a Nike lat pull down to their racks, you know, like.
Well, because you got to think like how far down the development chain is somebody like. Is there a guy at Nike that's like, I really like home gyms and is like doing all the testing and coming up with ideas? Or they're just like a bunch of older dudes in Nike like, hey, I think we can make some money and some weight shit. Like, yeah, ask one of our factories if they can throw some bars together and some bumpers, and we'll chop up some shoes.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
that don't do CrossFit or use bumpers or whatever. They're just like, yeah, we'll just do that, and I'm sure it'll be fine.
So one thing that you guys haven't mentioned just yet is some of the speculation that I'm seeing online is that this is tied in with their Nike studios, where they're opening up a bunch of different fitness studios. To be honest, I don't know a ton about that, but if it is, linked in with there, that may be why they're doing it. Hey, we want Nike branded barbells for our studios anyways. If people see them at the studios, they're probably going to want one for their house. Because Sean, just as much as you mentioned that there are a bunch of people who are super turned off by the wokeness of Nike, there are also a bunch of people who are like hype beasts or whatever and just love anything that's got a swoosh on it. And I totally think there are people who are turned off by the, let's say the wokeness of Nike, but then there are also people who are just super, I don't want to say basic, but are just very into like that scene. And so, Nike could be playing a game that we don't even, know about.
Yeah, well, I mean, imagine you're just a guy that goes to the 24-hour fitness. He doesn't care about like the knurling on the barbell or the tensile strength or whatever. He's like, I go in there and I put 45s on there, and I'm assuming it's 135, and I just lift it, and I don't really give a shit. I'm not weighing it, So you get those kind of people too that are just like, I thought that those standard plates I've been using my whole life were exactly like they were supposed to be. I didn't realize they could weigh 48 pounds or 40 pounds or 39 pounds. Like, damn it. That's why when you go to one YMCA and another YMCA, like, oh, this weight feels different. It's not 225 everywhere, because it's actually not. So, anyway, cool. I'm just saying, I'm agreeing with Peter. Like, you get those general people that are just like, don't really care about the specifics. They're just like, hey, that's a cool looking bar. It's got a swoosh on. It's all black. Cool. I'll buy that in my house.
No.
Matches my gear.
I agree. But there's also plenty of like 18, 19, 20-year-olds who like haven't heard of Rogue, for example, but they've heard of Nike. So if they're in a Dick's, they might just grab Nike, or just like get them thinking about starting a home gym, so.
Yeah. And I mean, to follow on to that, the stuff that I'm seeing Nike come out with, it's at least not the extremely basic low end stuff. Because if you go to Dick's Sporting Goods and you don't know anything, you might end up with one of those, 1-inch standard barbells with some, plastic encased cement plates and just a really shitty bench. And I mean, back in the day, decades ago, when I started lifting, that's what I got. I think I got it from Sears, which I'm like really dating myself here. And, it sucked, but it at least started something for me. That said, there's so many better options these days. So if you have somebody going into Dick's and they could either get that really crappy cement set or they could get a Nike set, they're better off getting the Nike set. And then from there, maybe they find out about, better and other options.
Yeah, 100%. And just the commercials. I'm sure they're going to come out with commercials where there's people working out at home. And that'll just hit so many people like, oh, I could have a home gym. Like, oh, shit. And they just like, oh, home gym's near me. And then if you're in, Austin or whatever, you're hitting up Peter, you know what I mean? If you're around us, like we're popping up because you have a retail location, you're just going to find people that you would never find because they're like, oh, that's a cool commercial. I'll just look at it online.
Yep, you see LeBron James with a Nike barbell or something like that. Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's go to the next. Okay, you don't look like LeBron either.
Yes.
All right.
So LeBron.
Let's
He's
do next
crying.
topic.
Maybe LeBron James is crying over his barbell. It's too heavy. Hurts him.